Yo, what's going on? First of all, let me tell everybody thank you for reaching out and everything. I haven't got back with most people. It's a slow day today, but I will be posting up some videos that I previously recorded, and that's my way when I'm heavy in the mind, heavy in the heart. I like to get to work and start doing some other things just to stay busy. So we be on here, but this video, what we're gonna get into is more so like I guess it's an overall thing with this so-called American bully. And y'all have heard me talk about the mastiff effect, whether it was Neo, Bordeaux, Rottweiler, you can name a few others, bull mastiff that has been added into some of the XL dogs. And then we've talked about the effect of the dwarfism. We've talked about the effects of the French bulldog, the English bulldog, the pug, the oldie bulldog, the American bulldog. And y'all see where we're getting at. It's a hell of a situation. And a lot of people have asked me about pedigrees and reading the pedigrees, and I've sort of went over this before, but I tell you again, we're at a point in this community where you use the pedigrees to the best of your ability, but don't overanalyze the pedigrees. And I'm just gonna tell y'all that, because man, the American bully community is the most untruthful community that there is. You know what I mean? The American bully community has lied to everybody in the world for now, we would say really maybe 25 years. The more I find out, the longer I'm getting into it. Even guys that I thought was somewhat real back in the day, it was a ton of lies. And I think the motivation has just changed, whereas the motivation for the product has changed. Whereas the back in the day, guys were looking for a tighter, more ripped up, big version of a terrier type of dog. Nowadays it's flipped over to, the extreme bulldog type of thing. And I'm just being honest with all of you breeders and young breeders. These extreme type of results that you see from these dogs and the changes that you see that you're not seeing incrementally throughout the generations, it's a lie. When you look at the dogs now that look more bulldogish, they have the very wide chest, they have the very dense bone, they have the very, I've talked about this in the mentorship program, is that these are traits and qualities that come directly from an English bulldog. It's no way of getting around that. Trust me, I have bred for a long time. I've watched all the breedings go around. I've dealt with other breeds. And the one thing that I can tell you, to be totally honest, is that, man, just being truthful, is dogs don't work like that. No matter how, and I think I'm pretty good at what I do with these dogs and how I can manipulate some of the genes. Not to pat myself on the back, but I've been doing it so long. But at the end of the day, the one thing as a breeder that I say that I have been good at is consistently making the same type of look, and maybe slowly but surely putting more mass on that look. In this breed, that's the only goal that you can have. If someone is telling you that they can totally remake the breed and do something different with it, I'm telling you, I've seen and I know some very, very great breeders from other breeds, and they'll tell you, you cannot take what's supposed to be a standard set of genes and just because you're some magical wizard, just change everything about this gene pool that you're gonna make a totally different dog. That's not the case. It's just bottom line not the case, and it can't happen. So y'all stop pulling yourself into that dumb world where you believe that this is going to happen. Consistency through genetics, you know what I mean, won't allow for it. Plain and simple. It just won't allow for it. So yes, if you want to get that overdone type of body, very, very stout, robust, big bone. See, the bulldog itself it was bred off of dwarfism genes. The original bulldog that was the Old English Bulldog, was a physical dog, more in the manner of the oldie Bulldog, a physical Bulldog that could get after it. And a lot of us know the stories. That's where the bull name came from bull baiting. This dog would get after it. This dog would go, be hanging off of a bull with his guts hanging out, still biting the bull on the face, to cheek, the nose, wherever he could get him. A pack of them trying to take this dog down. A very ferocious, physical dog. Well, what happened with all breeds when you start talking about the English is the cute thing. People start wanting to go for looks. It's not too much of anything cuter than the English Bulldog puppy, with their little wrinkled up backs and pushed in faces and little cube-like bodies with them short little legs. That was the reason that these people start going for these things. But throughout that process, the way that they got there, a lot of times was based off of dwarfism characteristics, a lot like we talk about with the pockets and different things like that. Then there was some talk of possible mixing at times, but most of the English Bulldog breeders, more strictly talk about just how they kept breeding the dogs down. It got worse and worse. And we see it even with the English Bulldogs now, is that some of them aren't adding anything, but they're going for the thing like the rope over the nose and those things. And they're breeding the genetics in that fashion in such a hard direction that it's overdone. Now the dog's face is more pushed in. The body is more robust. You know what I mean? All of the issues that come along with the cuteness have been elevated, along with the features that people believe make these dogs cute. They want them fat, cuddly, barely moving. You know what I mean? That's what they like. Well, that happened over a long period of time. It didn't happen in one generation. So, those dogs are bred very, very heavily on the dwarfism side also. The French Bulldog has a lot of the same issues, where if you had a French Bulldog, say maybe 20 years ago, the Frenchies was a lot more athletic. You know what I mean? They were not as big. And you still see some of them every now and then, but they were not as big. They were a lot more athletic. They would fly around. They could be a little bit annoying because they had a good energy level. Now, when you get to talking about them now, you're starting to notice that the Frenchies are getting bigger and bigger, and as people say, bullier. We're seeing the colors and the color patterns with the Frenchies, just like the English, just like the American bully, is there's no such thing as a merle. There's no such thing as several of these color patterns that these people have put out here now, and the things that you're seeing. So that these dogs have been mixed with another dog. Now, y'all have heard me talk about this, and one of the big problems, and as we talk about these breeds, is in general, when you're talking about mixing anything, whether you're talking about mixing different types of cats, dogs, any of the different species that can be bred together, you know what I mean? And they're not exactly the same. There is usually an incubation period when you're breeding these animals to see all results, because we think of genetics in the most simplistic way. And we believe, okay, if the dog, I don't care if it's if it's an English Bulldog with a great top line, you know what I mean, I can breed it to my American Bully with a great top line, and the dog is going to be bully with a short back, but he's still going to have a great top line. Genetics don't necessarily work like that, because even with the English, with that combination, and that's just a made up thing that I just did, but you could be compounding dwarfism traits that could bring in all of those other characteristics, like the high rears, the back issues, the testicle issues, the bite issues, and everything else that comes along with it, because you've compounded genetics that were lying dormant, or certain animals' genetics just don't mix, and you can look at that in jackasses. I think they born sterile. You talk about it, I've heard me talk about the liger, born sterile because genetics aren't working. If you see these genetic failures in other animals, why would you think that it can't happen in us just mixing a bunch of dogs together? You know, no one has stopped to ask themselves, how, okay, did we get to a point of deformity? This is a very, very serious question. How did we get to this point of deformity? Because if the basis of all of these dogs were cleaner, healthier dogs, how did we breed ourselves to a point that now dogs are mutated? Dogs are very, very, you know, overly wide, elbows turning. I'm talking about all the way down to exotics. Y'all see how some of those is built. What went wrong with genetics that would allow this dog to be built like this? Because before there were exotics, there were no dogs being built like this. What did they do in their breeding process that allowed these dogs to be built in this fashion? This is the part of genetics that is screwed up. This is the part where this society that we have, this community that we have, has went so hard to be breeders, has went so hard to be everything else, you know, marketing geniuses and all these other things, that I'm gonna get rich off of dogs, that they skipped the school, they skipped the lesson. It's a lot more to dogs, it's a lot more to dog breeding than you think. You know, I was recently talking to a friend of mine over in Serbia, and you know, it was funny because the way that they practice a lot of things over there is just so much more difficult. Like even with us, with the you know what I mean, with the paperwork, you know what I mean? The paperwork thing is different. And the reason why I say the paperwork thing is different is this. And trust me, I've just been, I've had to go at it with a registry or two here lately. I think they just fuck with me, but that's a different topic. But, you know, he asked me, you know, how did we do the paperwork here? And I was like, well, you know, when you get a puppy, you get a paperwork. And he said, well, how do you do that? And I thought it was a language thing, you know what I mean? I'm like, you know, English is not his first language. And, you know, and I'm like, well, you know, I explained it again. We have puppies, and you file the paper and you get a paper. He said, I understand the paperwork thing. He said, but how are you determining that these puppies are healthy at 8 weeks old? He said, how are you also determining that these puppies have sound hips, that these puppies have sound elbows, that these puppies won't develop any kind of cardio issues or pulmonary issues, any of these issues that, you know, that can make this dog be deemed to be non-breedable. He said, how can you, you know, guarantee that at 8 weeks old, but yet you hand over a puppy with a piece of paperwork to you know, someone who's invested money, so they've already shown a strong, you know, let's just say propensity to not care about what they breed as long as they can get their money back, you know. And I understood what he said then, and I told him, you know, I said, yeah, I totally agree. It's just done that way here, you know. And I asked him, well, how is it done over there? He said at a year, or some breeders do 18 months. He said some breeders go as far as to 2 years. He said it'll either be to where the breeder himself is on the paperwork and they're on there as basically like co-owners, but no litters can be registered or whatever without the permission of the breeder, or the person just doesn't have you know what I'm saying, doesn't have paperwork until the dog is approved. And I was like, woo, you know, because I was thinking about how that is here, and how, you know, like, trust me, I've had a couple litters that they messed up the paperwork on, that hopefully finally we've got it straightened out on. But, you know, I've heard everything, you know what I mean? I've heard that you're robbing everybody if you don't give them their paperwork by the time they're a couple months old, you know, this, that, and the other. And in our community, it's really funny because even with paperwork, and I'm going to get back on the topic, but even with paperwork, you can't be robbed if you have a dog from somebody. The reason being is that you have the UKC and the ABKC that's willing to single register any dog who hasn't been registered in a litter. So it's strange, man. It's strange, but it goes back to his quality thing. We're going to stick to that topic. All the paperwork issues and the things that I'm seeing people complain about. Now I can identify with them, but maybe we'll do that on a different post. But you know, it's a great question that this is the way our community does everything. Our community is, I need paperwork today. because I got breedings coming up. You know what I mean? I got this coming up. I got that coming up. You know what I mean? You fucking up my money type of deal. Excuse my language. But the thing of it is that, you know, at what point in time, you know, should the breeder himself decide that, you know what, give me more control, you know, or I'm going to take more control. And I know some breeders in the state who does that I'm going to take more control to decide that this dog is a breedable animal, you know, and more so, and I know that, like, especially the breedings I have next year, I'm going to push more into that and let people know that this is the way we would do it. I'm going to do the co-registration thing. You can't register a litter without me. And we get the dog evaluated. The dog should have, you know, its hips checked before being bred. It should get a clean bill of health as far as it never developed any heart issues. It never developed any genetic issues that's going to screw up the breed. You know, but in our breed, though, everything is, the first word that you hear from people is business, 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 business. So that's the way they look at it. It's not a thing of a hobby to make something better. It's a strictly, you know what I mean, you know, you almost sell your soul when you sell a puppy if you believe that you put your puppies in everybody's hands and they're going to do the right thing with it. That's just typically not the way the shit works. You know, I know throughout the years, it's been a couple people that I sold dogs to that I later would have preferred and even offered these people a replacement puppy. I preferred not to put paperwork on that dog, and they greatly just wanted to, hey, you know, I still gotta breed him and this, that, and the other. And I'm like, hey, how about you give me the paperwork back? You know, I give you a puppy. Nah, I still, you know, well, we can do that, but you know, I could probably fix it with this one litter, and they never got it, you know. And this is like, you know, the attitude inside the American bully community that is going to be the destruction of, well, not going to be, it already has become the destruction of the American bully community. There's a lot of lies that have been done from the beginning, as I started talking about in this video, and there's no protocols for us to even sift through these lies to make things better. You know, it's a lot of genetics that have been mixed into these dogs. It's with a ton of genetics, you get a ton of issues. You know, at what point do we start to really break down the dogs, do proper health testing on the dogs? You know what I mean? And when I say proper health testing, you know, man, just get the hips, the elbows, you know what I'm saying, the heart and the lungs checked out. Make sure that the dog is actually healthy. Something that simple, you know what I mean? I don't know of anybody in the American bully community right now that's giving you, you know what I'm saying, a hip test. You know, this dog's hips is this, or this dog's hip. Considering that, you know, one of the more popular dogs in breed history as far as how many times he bred, Dax, was notorious for hip issues. Don't you think now is the time that if we actually trying to improve the breed, that we start trying to get good and excellent ratings as far as that's our base to what we breed our dogs forward? You know, if you got a fair or you've got a bad, of course, you shouldn't be breeding a dog. Don't you think that we should be pushing ourselves in that direction, that we're going to make a better dog? You would think so, you know? But it's not happening. And when something is built on a lie, it takes a lot of work to clean that lie up. Or you just continue saying the same lie. You keep on going on deeper, deeper, deeper. And when you reach the point that we're at now, where I would be honest with you, you know, and I told y'all this before, 90% of all American bullies that are out there shouldn't be bred. Bottom line, when you start talking about all of the different physical issues, and now we're seeing a lot of them that have mental issues, these dogs shouldn't be bred. But there's nobody doing real analysis on temperament, health, and weighing the dog versus the standard to decide if these dogs actually should be bred, you know, as representatives of the American bully breed and going forward. And this is, you know, this is going to be a big issue, you know, in keeping this breed alive. Most people consistently sit there and be like, oh, that's being dramatic. The breed is dying. You tell me what an American bully is. I could have told you what an American bully was back in 2005. No one would have argued. You know what I mean? Excuse me. No one would argue with an American. Now, if I tell you what an American bully is, you're going to show me everything from an exotic to, you know, a steroided up extreme dog. to a clean, you know, what should be an American Bully and everything in between, 30 different breeds. When you're doing that and everybody is claiming that they're one breed, how can you tell me that the breed's not coming to extinction? It doesn't have anything to stand on. It can't be a breed with 30 faces. So therefore, it's being pushed off the map. But meanwhile, we keep arguing and we keep on marketing and we keep on, you know, having the gold chains and the different shirts and the different this, that, and the other. And we don't have a true direction, you know. And I think for those of us who are serious about this breed, our true direction is going to have to come from building from health and building from education, you know, building from a standpoint of understanding that we have to be very selective in our breeding programs to reach certain heights to where our dogs are on a greatness level that can be compared to some of the other breeds. And sometimes that's going to mean that you have to get rid of a whole litter. Sometimes that's going to mean that you have to get rid of half a litter. But this idea and this premise that, you know, we can fix everything and every lie that's behind all of these dogs quite simply by continuing to just breed as much as possible. No, we're just compounding the problem, you know. As you look at your, as I told you, as you look at your pedigrees, they're not going to mean as much as they used to because it's so many lies behind them. Right now, you have to sort of go off the fact of, okay, I see a pedigree and I see 4 generations of dogs that all look alike, and that's a good thing. So we sort of go with that, you know. But if you see something that pops up in there and all of a sudden this looks like a totally different breed, whatever that breed may be, and it's unexplainable, use your common sense. Somebody lied to you. That's probably not the parents that you've seen from that dog. And now, even if you're going to continue to breed that, you have to start doing some research to find out what kind of dog was behind that would make that look, and in all probability, and then study and break down very, very harsh how in the world you're going to, you know what I mean, avoid the issues and the downfalls of maybe if somebody decided to add an Alapaha into the blood pool. What issues come within an Alapaha or / Catahoula? What comes with these dogs? You know, this is something that has to be known. What comes with a Bordeaux? What comes with a Presa, which I know has been mixed in? What comes with a Corso? You know, all of these dogs that have been mixed into this breed wrongly, first and foremost, but our knowledge and our consistent push towards doing something better is the only way that we're going to get past this situation. So I hope that a lot of y'all start doing some serious health testing and some serious studying. Let's get past the lie that the American Bully was made off of 2 dogs, although that's what it was supposed to be. You know, right now what we have is a gene pool of, you know, 20 dogs probably. And if we're going to make it better, we have to come at it from that perspective of how do we get back to the point of what the dog was supposed to be, and you know, wean out the characteristics of all of these bloods that have been added in. That's a monumental job, but that's the job that's in front of the American Bully community right now. Well, I ran my mouth for long enough, man. Much love to y'all. I thank y'all for giving me some time, and for me, this is a little bit of therapy. So God bless y'all. Much love. Peace.